Every year, I host Thanksgiving and cover everything. $1, 200 worth of food, drinks, and decor. This year, I asked everyone to pitch in $40. My sister said, "You're kidding, right? You make six figures." When I insisted, half the family backed out. On the day of, they all showed up anyway, with to-go containers. My brother walked in and said, "We figured you'd come to your senses." I shut the door and ate with just my husband. They left dozens of angry texts. The next morning, someone egged my car and left a note that said, "Ungrateful, for 15 straight years, I hosted Thanksgiving at my house in Charlotte, North Carolina." 15 years. It wasn't just a dinner, it was a full production. I bought the best turkeys, plural, because one isn't enough with this crowd. I baked 6 kinds of pies. I bought extra cases of wine and sodas, every appetizer anyone could think of, fresh flowers, fancy linens, even rented extra tables and chairs so no one would have to sit on the floor. Decorations, candles, place cards, centerpieces. I made it all perfect. Every year, it cost me about $1,200. I never asked for help. Not once. And every year, the same people rolled in, empty-handed, ate mountains of food, trashed my house, packed up huge containers of leftovers without even asking, and left without helping clean up a damn thing. Not even a thank you half the time. I try to tell myself it was fine, that it's just how family is. But this year, something in me broke. I don't know if it was the rising grocery prices, the feeling of being so damn invisible, or just waking up and realizing I was tired of being used. But around the start of October, I sent a group text to everyone. "Hey family. Excited to see everyone for Thanksgiving. This year, I'm asking everyone to pitch in $40 per adult to help with food and drink costs. Thanks so much for understanding. Can't wait to celebrate together." Simple. Polite. Fair. Within 5 minutes, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. First, my sister Becky. "You're kidding, right? You make 6 figures. You're really asking your family for cash? Wow." Then my brother Mike, "El Mayo, guess we gotta bring our own Happy Meals this year." A couple of my cousins chimed in too. One sent about 20 laughing emojis. Another wrote, "Damn, forgot you turned into a gold digger." I was sitting there staring at my phone like, what the hell? So I replied, "Nope, not kidding. Just asking for a little help this year. Totally understand if you can't make it." And that was it. Half the group said they weren't coming. Becky said she was boycotting. Mike said he had better places to be anyway. I felt a pit in my stomach. But part of me was also relieved. I didn't want those ungrateful assholes in my house anyway. So my husband and I made a new plan. I cooked a smaller meal, just 1 turkey, 1 pie, the basics. Enough for me, my husband, my parents. God bless them, they immediately Venmo'd me $200 and told me to keep the change. I didn't even set up the big tables. Just the regular dining room table with a simple centerpiece. It was cozy. It felt right. Thanksgiving Day rolled around. I was pulling the turkey out of the oven when my husband looked out the window and said, "You're not gonna believe this." I walked over, and my stomach dropped. There they were. Becky, Mike, 2 aunts, 3 cousins, their kids, their spouses, standing on my porch. Some were carrying to-go containers. Some had empty Tupperware. All of them were smiling like they were doing me a favor by showing up. I opened the door just a crack. Mike pushed forward and said with a big smug grin, "We figured you'd come to your senses. Let's eat, huh?" I stared at him for a second. I looked at all of them, their smug faces, their empty hands, their fake smiles. And then I said, "No, you're not welcome here." And I shut the door, locked it, walked away. Immediately, Becky started pounding on the door, screaming, "Are you serious? Open the fucking door." One of the cousins yelled, "Wow, real classy." I just sat down at the table with my husband and parents and poured myself a glass of wine. They kept banging on the door for maybe 5 more minutes. Eventually, they gave up and left. I muted my phone but glanced at the notifications. Dozens of furious texts. Becky said, "You ruined Thanksgiving, you psycho." Mike texted, "You're dead to us." Good, I thought. I should have done this years ago. We had a peaceful, laughter-filled dinner. No yelling. No drama. No one fighting over the last piece of pie. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in decades. But they didn't leave it alone. The next morning, I walked outside to head to work, and my jaw dropped. My car was egged. Eggs splattered and dried across the hood, windshield, and side mirrors. It stank. And tucked under the windshield wiper was a note, scrawled in messy handwriting on a torn piece of notebook paper. "Ungrateful bitch." My hands were shaking with rage. I immediately called the police and filed a report. I showed them the texts from the night before. The cop said it was unlikely anything would happen unless I caught them on video, but he made a report anyway. Then I got to work. I wrote an email. BCC'd every single one of those freeloaders. To my so-called family, this year made it very clear that the only reason you came to my house every year was to use me. The moment I asked for a little help, you turned into mean, entitled bullies. And when you didn't get your way, someone vandalized my property. Effective immediately, I will not be hosting any more holidays. Do not come to my house. Do not contact me unless you want to apologize, and even then, don't expect forgiveness. If you damage my property again, I will press full charges. Consider yourselves blocked and erased from my life. Asterisk within an hour, my phone was blowing up again. Half of them were suddenly so sorry. It was just a joke. You're overreacting. It wasn't me who egged your car, it must have been someone else. The other half? Doubling down. Calling me a selfish, stuck-up bitch who forgot her roots. I blocked them all. Changed my phone number. Made my social media private. Installed 4 security cameras around my property. I'm not gonna lie, there are days when it stings. Family isn't supposed to treat you like that. But mostly, I feel free. For the first time in my adult life, I feel free. And next Thanksgiving? I'm booking a cabin up in the mountains. Just me and my husband, drinking wine by the fire. No freeloaders. No screaming. Just peace. And if they ever try to come crawling back, they can stay the hell on the porch. After I sent that email and blocked half my family, I really thought it was over. I was done with them and I figured they'd move on too. But people like that? They don't go quietly. About 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a wrinkled envelope with my name scribbled across the front. Inside was a folded piece of printer paper with one sentence typed in all caps. "Hope you choke on your perfect little life." No name. Nothing else. Just that. I sat on my porch, staring at the letter, my hands shaking. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was obsession. Someone was mad, real mad, and they wanted to scare me. I called the police again. Gave them the letter. Same story. They couldn't do much unless someone confessed or I had camera footage. The envelope didn't have fingerprints. No postage. Which meant someone physically drove to my house and dropped it in the mailbox. That night, I barely slept. My husband, Jack, told me we should stay with his cousin for a few days. I agreed. But before we left, I checked the footage on the new outdoor camera I'd installed after the egging. Bingo. Grainy, low-res footage. But there it was, a red Jeep Cherokee pulling up at 3:47 a.m. 2 figures inside. One got out, wearing a hoodie, and walked up to my porch. They shoved the letter into the mailbox and walked off. I paused the video. Zoomed in. I couldn't see a face, but the way the person walked, that stupid slouched posture, it was Mike. My brother. The Jeep was the same one he'd been driving for years, beat up, dented door, back bumper half hanging off. I'd know it anywhere. Jack said, "Do we call him out, or do we keep the footage in case things get worse?" I said, "We wait. We don't tip our hand." Christmas came. I didn't send gifts. Didn't reply to texts. On Christmas Day, I got another anonymous message, this time via a fake Instagram account. Lonely Christmas? Guess that's what happens when you act better than everyone else. I screenshotted everything, logged every time they reached out. I wanted proof, just in case. Then in January, something changed. One of my cousins, Angela, reached out. She was always kind of the quiet one, never said much. We hadn't talked since the Thanksgiving fallout. She sent me a message that said, "I think you should know Mike's been telling everyone that you faked the whole letter and egging thing for attention. He's bragging about how you went nuts over nothing. Said you needed to be knocked down a peg." I asked her straight out, "Did he do it?" She didn't answer right away. But then she sent a second message, "I didn't tell you this. But yeah, he did it." He and Becky were in the Jeep that night. They've been trashing you nonstop since November. They think it's funny. I stared at the message, my blood going cold. All the times I'd helped him with bills. All the times I'd watched Becky's kids for free. They had nothing, and still they thought they were better than me. Still thought they had the right to disrespect me. That's when I started planning. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to take away the one thing they used me for, my help. And I was going to do it publicly. First, I wrote up a post Facebook because that's where all the family drama lives. This is a message for anyone in this family who thinks it's funny to egg someone's car, send threatening letters, or harass someone for not hosting free dinners anymore. I know who you are. I have proof. I have footage. You laughed when I asked for $40 to help with a holiday meal that I'd funded by myself for 15 years. You called me names. You vandalized my property. You sent anonymous messages. And then you bragged about it. I will never host another holiday. I will never help you again. If you are struggling financially, do not call me. If you need childcare, do not call me. If you need help moving or a ride or support of any kind, you are on your own. Actions have consequences. And I'm done protecting people who don't protect me. I posted it on Christmas night. By the next morning, it had 60 comments. Most were supportive, neighbors, old friends, coworkers. A few of my relatives liked the post, but didn't say anything out loud. Then Becky commented, "This is disgusting. Family doesn't air dirty laundry online. You need serious help." I didn't reply. Instead, I posted a screenshot of the egged car, the threatening letter, the surveillance still of Mike's Jeep. Then I wrote, "You should have kept your mouth shut. Instead, you made this war. Don't cry now that it's public." That night, Becky tried to call me. I let it ring. Mike sent a DM. "Take that post down. You're ruining people's lives over a fucking dinner." I replied, "Funny. That's exactly what you tried to do to me." Then I blocked them again. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. After the Facebook post went viral in our little corner of North Carolina, something strange started happening. People, neighbors, coworkers, even folks I barely talked to from high school, started messaging me privately with their own stories. Turns out, Becky and Mike had burned a lot of bridges. I wasn't the only one. One woman, Sharon, said Becky borrowed $500 for a car repair last year and ghosted her after. Another guy said Mike scammed him during a poker night, then blocked him when he asked for his winnings. They'd made a whole lifestyle out of using people. I just hadn't seen it because I was too close, too willing to keep the peace. But now, the curtain was up. A week after New Year's, I got a call from Angela again. She sounded nervous. "I think you need to know something," she said. "Becky's planning something with Mike. They're mad about the post. They're talking about getting a lawyer, saying you defamed them." I laughed. "Let them. I've got evidence. Let them explain their Jeep on my porch at 4 in the morning. But Angela didn't laugh. "No, it's more than that. Becky's been calling around to your job. She's trying to get you fired." My stomach dropped. "What?" "She called HR, said you're unstable, that you've been threatening your family. She gave them your post. Said it's proof you're having a breakdown." I sat there, phone in my lap, trying to breathe. I work in healthcare, real job, real responsibility. Accusations like that? They stick, even if they're lies. So I called HR myself the next morning. Told them everything. I brought in the footage, the texts, the letters. Explained the full story, calmly, clearly, with receipts. My boss looked at me and said, "You did the right thing coming to us first. We're not taking any action. And if she calls again, we'll report it as harassment." Relief doesn't even describe what I felt. But the anger? That was still there. Boiling. Turning into something cold, heavy, and ready. Because now this wasn't just about Thanksgiving. They were trying to ruin my career. My name. My life. I could have gone to court. Could have pressed charges, maybe. But instead, I chose something more personal. Something they'd never expect. I remembered something about Becky. She'd been working a side hustle, watching kids in her house for extra cash. Technically, she was supposed to be licensed for that. She wasn't. Mike? He was working under the table doing car flips. Most of them barely passed inspection, and I knew damn well he wasn't reporting any of it to the IRS. So I made 2 anonymous reports. One to Child Services. One to the Department of Revenue. Then I waited. 2 weeks later, Becky's operation was shut down. One of the parents reported that her toddler came home with bruises. The state opened a full investigation. She had to stop watching kids temporarily, and by temporarily, I mean never again unless she jumped through every legal hoop. She lost that income fast. Mike? He got audited. IRS flagged his name. One of his buyers came forward and claimed he sold a lemon with a fake emissions sticker. He got hit with a fine big enough to wipe out his savings. I didn't gloat. I didn't say a word. I just watched as the people who had tried to tear me down lost everything they'd leaned on. Then, as if karma wasn't done yet, Becky's husband left her. He'd had enough of the drama. Angela said he moved out one night without warning, took the kids, and filed for emergency custody. Said she wasn't stable. Said he was tired of every day being a new war. And still, I stayed quiet. I didn't post anything. Didn't reach out. Just lived my life. But Becky? She wasn't done. She showed up at my work. Unannounced. Walked into the clinic lobby while I was checking a patient out and stood there like a statue. My coworker whispered, "Is that her?" I nodded. She marched right up to the desk and said, "You ruined my life." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "No, Becky, you did." She stood there, red-faced, breathing like a bull. Then she said something that made my blood turn cold. "You think you've won? You think this is over? I will never forgive you. You'll regret this." Security escorted her out. My boss gave me a week off, paid, and told me to file a restraining order. I did. Now I sleep with pepper spray by the bed. I park in a different spot every day. I installed 2 more cameras, one at the driveway and one over the garage, because I don't trust them anymore. Not just to be decent, but not to be dangerous. And yet, part of me doesn't regret a thing. For the first time, I drew a line. And I didn't back down. By the time spring rolled around, things had gone quiet. I hadn't heard from Becky or Mike in weeks. The restraining order held. They were warned once by police when Mike drove past my house too slow, too close. After that, nothing. But silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means something's building. It was late March when I made a mistake. I let my guard down. I'd been running errands all day, had a list of stuff to do before heading to a work conference the next morning. I parked outside a little local grocery store and stepped inside, just for milk. When I came out, the windshield on my car was shattered. Smashed in with a cinder block. Taped to the block was a photo. A printed picture from Facebook of me and Jack on vacation last year, laughing on a beach, drinks in hand. On the back, someone had written in red marker, "Laugh it up while you can." I froze. I walked straight back into the store and called 911. This time, they took it seriously. Between the photo, the previous reports, the video footage from the past, and the restraining order violations, the police finally put together a full harassment case. They questioned Becky and Mike separately. Mike cracked. Said it was all Becky's idea, that she just needed to scare me into shutting up. Becky denied everything. But the video surveillance from the store caught a clear shot of her pulling into the parking lot. Matched the timestamp. Matched the cinder block in her trunk before she walked into the store to use the bathroom and left. They arrested her that night. I didn't gloat. I didn't show up in court. I just sent my lawyer with everything I had and let it all unfold. Becky got probation, mandatory therapy, and a record. Mike lost his license for a year due to another violation they uncovered during the investigation. Something about an unregistered vehicle and a bogus bill of sale. Their lives unraveled piece by piece. And me? I was promoted 2 months later. My boss said they admired how I handled everything. Said I showed grit under pressure. Jack and I bought a small lake house that summer, quiet, private, far from the noise. We spent every weekend there with our phones off and no visitors. On Thanksgiving that year, we ate dinner alone again. Just the two of us. 1 turkey, 1 pie, 1 bottle of wine. But this time, there was no sadness. No tension. Just peace. I'll be honest. I didn't come out of this clean. I wanted revenge. I wanted them to feel what I felt, powerless, alone, scared. And I made it happen. I burned bridges. I turned quiet payback into full-blown destruction. But would I do it again? Yes, every bit of it. Because sometimes people need to learn that you can't treat someone like trash forever and expect them to keep taking it. Sometimes the quiet one finally fights back. And when she does, you better stay the hell off her porch.